This is the Patriots Drive Podcast.
We are all Patriots.
Where we discuss, analyze, and answer questions to all things happening in the NFL and with our New England Patriots. Now, here's your host, Cole Kelly.
Let's go!
Welcome into another edition of the Patriots Draft Podcast. Today, we're going to be doing our final 7-round mock draft with the Patriots before the draft coming up on Thursday. It's going to be a fun one. Before we get started, if you guys haven't already, like, subscribe, comment on the video what you think of the draft when we get done, and also make sure you turn on notifications. We're going to be having a live draft show Thursday night throughout the entire first round of the NFL draft, and if the Patriots trade back into the second round or late first or whatever, and we acquire a bunch of picks on day 2, we might be going live on that Friday, day 2 as well. So keep your eyes peeled for that one. Stay tuned. Definitely join in for that live show. We're getting near 600 subscribers, so subscribe if you guys haven't already, and that's going to be a fun one. So I'm excited for that. It's draft season. Draft is only a couple nights away, and we're going to be live for the whole thing. So I'm here with my co-host, Chase Campbell, though. How's it going, Chase?
Dude, I can't believe we're 2 days away from the draft. We've been talking about this and planning the live show for as long as it's been, as long as January. As soon as the Patriots got knocked out, it's like, all right, well, now we're on to the draft talk through the Senior Bowl, the Combine, all the trade rumors, everything, free agency. I can't believe it's actually here. So I'm excited to, do this last 7-round mock draft and the other stuff we have planned, and then just get in our live show and see what actually happens. Put all this talk to bed and see what actually happens. So
I know
I'm stoked.
All the rumors will be set to rest on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. We'll know the actual truth, how these guys feel about the prospects. I mean, at this time last year, the Patriots were drafting Justin Fields. That was the consensus. They were going to trade up and draft
trading up
Justin
and taking
Fields.
him.
And that obviously that didn't happen. We got Mac Jones. So it's deception season. You never know what's actually going to happen. We'll touch on this real quick. Y'all see the Debo to the Jets news. I saw the Jets were interested in them, willing to give up the 10th overall pick. I saw those rumors, but outside of that, I haven't seen anything. Have you?
No, I actually heard that Robert Saleh and the Niners are unlikely to trade him, that they know his worth. And I would be surprised. Like, why wouldn't the Jets want to trade the 10th pick? He's better than any other receiver. They'd take it, number 10, and he'd come in right away and give an instant boost to Zach Wilson's stock and performance. So I don't know why they wouldn't, but what I've been hearing is that he's not going to be dealt. But like we said, in 2 days, that could be totally different when they get the 10th pick, another first round, and something else. So we'll see what happens with Debo. But yeah, I've been hearing, both things on both ends. But for me, I think he's just not going to get dealt.
Yeah, I hope if it's between the Niners and staying with the Niners or getting traded to the Jets, I hope he stays with the Niners, because I don't want to have to deal with Debo as well. We've touched on that a little bit, but I'm excited though. Finally, the draft is here. We've been waiting for forever, doing all these mock drafts. This is hopefully going to be our best one. Out of all of ours so far. We're going to be using a different program, the Draft Network, instead of the PFF one, just to try something different. This one we'll be able to see the actual live board, so we'll have an idea if we're going to trade up or trade down, who's on the board still, and we won't have to scroll through it like last time, so that should be good. But what do you want to start off with, Chase?
Yeah, we're going to start off just quickly. We're going to go over some of the positions that we think New England can draft. We're going to kind of do a little back and forth discussion. It's going to be quick, but and so we can get into the draft, but we're going to pretty much hit each position and how worried we are going into the draft on a scale of 1 to 10 or however else we want. And then we're going to do one my guy selection. So for those of you that are familiar with fantasy football, I'm sure you've heard of a my guy before. It's, fantasy football analyst way of saying, like, this is the guy I think is going to break out this year. Maybe some people had Cooper Kupp last year. So we're going to do one my guy at each position and, see how it goes. And for me, I'm just, working down. Let's start on the offensive side. Everyone wants Bill to go out there, get Mac a true wide receiver 1 with the addition of Devontae Parker. Cole, what do you think the likelihood, or how nervous are you about this wide receiver group going into the draft?
I will say I'm not as nervous as I was before. I still think the position needs to be addressed, but if Devontae Parker can stay healthy, that position drops significantly on the list of needs if he can play the role well, and if we get more contributions from guys like Jonnu Smith at the tight end position, and Kendrick Bourne progresses even more than he did last year. Jacoby does his thing. Aguilar, if he progresses, which he's bound to. I mean, he had a quiet year last year. I think this wide receiver core can get it done if everybody steps up to the plate and does what they're supposed to do and plays to their level of expectation. So I'm still nervous. I still think we need to address it. If the right guy's there at 21, I still think they should take him. I don't think they will, though. I think they're going to wait till the 3rd to 5th round to address the position, which, depending on the guy, I'd be okay with. Depending on the other picks that they have and who they pass up. Like if, for example, I'll go into my guy right now, which we've talked about a million times, but Chris Olave, if he's there at 21 and the Patriots pass up on him for an offensive guard or something like that, I'll be a little upset. But if nobody's on the board at 21 for the Patriots to take at wide receiver and they trade back or take a corner or whatever they end up doing, and then Mechie's gone, they don't really have a guy on in round 2, and then round 3 they take somebody, that's fine. I'm fine with that, depending on how the draft shapes up. But obviously, Olave at 21 has kind of been both our dreams for this entire process before the Parker news, but even after the Parker news, I think adding a guy like Chris Olave, who his route running ability and his skill set really would fit the Patriots system, that's more of a long-term solution. And we need that because there's not many wide receivers under contract past the next year or two for this Patriots team. So they need to get some new, fresh, young guys, or they're going to be paying wide receivers from this heavily overpaid wide receiver market during free agency over the next couple of years.
Yeah, and I'm going to put this comment up here because this is a lot of people are getting hype around Romeo
Let's
Doubs.
touch on that real quick.
He's met with New England how many times? It seems like 50
4,
at least.
3 or 4.
Yeah, it seems like there's a lot of interest. So yeah. I'm kind of with Cole, though. I think that with the addition of Devontae Parker, Jacoby Myers is here. Kendrick Bourne, I think, is just going to get better. Nelson Aguilar can't be any worse. And people forget we have 2 great pass-catching tight ends. Both of them have different skill sets. I feel like, yeah, maybe in the future, a good receiver right now would be great. A young receiver that could be on Mac's timeline. I'm not too worried about it going into the draft, though. I think that they still should address it. For me, it's got to be a later round guy. I think Romeo Doubs is there, Khalil Shakir. Those are guys that I love. Personally, my guy, though, that, I'm tagging my guy, it's a guy I've been high on all offseason and someone that's torn up the Senior Bowl, tore up the Combine. And I think it's unlikely New England gets him because people are giving him first round, projections, and that's Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. He tested like a freak, 6'4", 208 pounds, 32.5-inch arms. He ran a 4.36, 39-inch vertical jump and 11.5-foot broad jump. I mean, he tested incredible. And the thing about him is he might be a very raw receiver. He is a very raw receiver compared to guys like even John Mechie, go to guys like Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson. But with New England's ability, or with New England's wide receiver core right now, I think this guy, Christian Watson, could come in, be a great addition and, grow behind some of these guys and additionally take over. I don't think he goes to New England. It's just the guy that I would love to see New England take. He's a true X receiver. His raw athletic score was comparable to Calvin Johnson's, his size, speed, everything. Dude's a freak of nature. So that would be my guy. But I think me and Cole both agree after the Devontae Parker trade, I don't feel as worried with the wide receiver position going into the draft.
I agree. And like you kind of just touched on, Watson, especially after the Parker trade, I don't think getting a guy like Watson is as realistic because it's kind of a similar mold. You could say Watson's more athletic than Devontae Parker in certain aspects based on his athleticism scores, but they have a similar skill set is kind of the point that I'm getting at here. One thing
I want to talk on Leonard right here. He says, Utah State, I've mentioned this to Cole, Devin Tompkins. I'm from the state of Utah. I've watched Devin Tompkins grow up. The dude's got different type of speed. Now, I personally think he's an undrafted guy. I think he could come in and make an impact, though, but we got to move on. We're trying to get into this mock draft. So keep your questions coming. And once we get to that position, we'll try to hit on them. But let's move to what we think is the most important position. And maybe that's a little bit of a spoiler, but cornerback, Cole, we've talked about it. Lots of different options to go either in round 1 or double dipping late. But what's your level of worry for the cornerback position?
Extremely high, to be honest. I mean, if we go into this post draft without adding to the cornerback position, that's going to be terrifying. The wide receivers that have been added to this division, Stephon Diggs just signed an extension. Tyreek Hill, they got Jalen Waddle there in Miami with Tyreek Hill. Cedric Wilson. That just there's so many talented wide receivers. Corner, I agree with Luke here. Corner is our worst position by far. Do we have pieces there? Yes. It's a lot of throwing darts at the dartboard. Hope one of these guys works out because we have a lot of average type corners right now that you're really hoping one of them steps up and shows to be more than what we think they are right now, because otherwise it's scary. And a first round rookie might end up being our savior. I mean, they're gonna have to step up to the plate big time if this is kind of how we go into the room. So I think first round is certainly a consideration for corner. Outside of that, the Patriots love taking corners in round 2 and it never works out. So I hope they don't do that. There's not really a ton of guys in round 2 that I'd love to take unless it was one of those top guys that we talked about who falls early round 2. I'd love that. But it's scary. We're relying on a retired Malcolm Butler and a couple guys one guy the Texans didn't even want. He couldn't make the Texans roster, but he's making the Patriots. There's a bunch of question marks at that corner position. I feel a lot better if we addressed it in the draft, maybe even double dip.
Yeah, most scariest position for me, in my opinion. There's a lot of guys that I like. For me, I think I know who my guy is, so I'm going to try to be a little different from you. I'm going to go with Kier Elam. I think he's the best scheme fit for New England. I don't know if he's the pick at 21 or if they trade down. I feel like they might like another corner more. But you're talking pure scheme fit. It's Kier Elam. What is he? He's a physical press man cornerback. He played a lot of snaps in it. That's what you're seeing with Trent McDuffie, even Andrew Booth. They have a lack of man coverage snaps in college. Doesn't mean that Andrew Booth can't transition to it. He has all the physical aspects to do it. But if you're talking pure scheme fit and what Bill likes to draft off of, for me, it's Kier Elam coming out of the SEC, played great competition, ran a 4.39 40-yard dash. I really like Elam, and I'd be fine with both him or Booth, which I'm assuming would be my guy at the cornerback position.
Yeah, we've touched on him a lot. Andrew Booth, I think, especially if he falls a little bit and you can trade back and get him, that's great. He's a good scheme fit as well. Super talented. Injuries, a little bit of concern based on he just had surgery recently in the past few weeks, but I still think he's talented. If he falls due to injury and you trade back, you acquire more picks and you get Andrew Booth, I think that's a home run. So I would love to see that for the Patriots as one of their top picks. I'm just scared to throw a dart at the board and the first round guy isn't it. Yeah, that's always scary, but these guys have been evaluating these players for months and months and months and months. And in the first round, you got to hit on your first round pick. And if they think there's a guy that's a no brainer first round corner, get him. If they don't, then don't reach on a guy. Make sure you get your guy. And I think that's the one thing that's good about all these corners they acquired is that they have options. And are they great options? No, but they at least have something. Something's better than nothing. So they certainly need to address the position. It's the highest need on the tables here for the Patriots coming into Thursday night, and I think they're definitely going to have to address it.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they don't address it early in the draft and maybe even late in the draft too. But that's one defensive need that we have. Moving to another one that we've talked about. This is the linebacker position. It's something that people want to see. People in New England get longer, maybe a little bit smaller, not the big, thick linebackers that we've traditionally seen New England take. Even though there's still a place for that, but longer, can cover better, faster, quicker. But how would you rank the linebacker position going into the draft off of how nervous you are for it?
I'd say somewhere in the middle of kind of where we've been talking about. I don't know why, but I feel a little more confident. I know the position's not super deep. I know it's super young. We don't have Hightower, but we still have a couple guys. We have McGrone, who we drafted last year in the 5th round. We don't know what he is yet. He's an option. We just traded for the guy from the Browns. We also signed back Jawan Bentley. So we have some options there. We got a big thumping linebacker. And we got a couple guys who are more athletic types who can cover a little bit. I still think we need to add to the position. I still think round 2 and 3, somewhere in that 2 to 3 range, picking up a guy would be huge. But at the end of the day, I'm not as nervous as I am for corner. And if you got to pick between getting one of those two positions, you got to go with corner for sure. Linebacker's still up there. I certainly think it would not hurt to add to the position because we're relying on some young guys for sure. But I'm not as nervous as I am for a position like corner.
Yeah, and for me, I think that there's more value in the later rounds with linebacker. That's maybe why I'm not as nervous, because I think you're going to be able to find a guy. And that's going to lead into my guy. And I think that that's kind of a tongue twister. My guy. We got to separate it. Got to have some grammar here. But for me, it's Troy Anderson, the FCS guy out of Montana State. Played quarterback in 2019, 2018, 2019 played running back. Didn't play because of COVID in 2020, and then played linebacker. FCS Defensive Player of the Year. Led his team to the national championship. At the combine, measures at 6'4", 243, runs a 4.42 40, second fastest. Almost broad jumps 11 feet. For me, he's explosive. He's big. He's twitchy. He's a guy that Bill is going to take if he gets his hands on him and make him into someone, because you guys think about it. When we took Kyle Duggar, no one knew about him. Division II, right? These are the guys that fly under the radar. If he's at a Power 5 school, maybe even a Group of 5 school, not in the FCS, he might be a first-round guy. And I still think he's creeping up into the second round, and it might be too late to try to take him at 54 with our second-round pick. But I love Troy Anderson. He's a guy that I've been super high on. I've talked about him for probably 3 months now, and his stock has only risen off of his testing and pro days, combines, everything like that.
Yeah, for sure. He's certainly a good Patriots fit. Leo Chenal, Quay Walker, both good guys that I'm interested in as well, along with Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma. There's a lot of good linebackers. Like you said, the depth in this class is really, really good. So one thing, do you know if Matt Groh was in charge for the 2020 draft, or 2021 his first? I think
2021 was his first, like, on his own, right? Because who was still here in 2020?
I think wasn't Ziegler.
That's who I was thinking too.
Ziegler, Elliott Wolf.
Elliott, yeah.
I don't know if this. I feel like this year, is this not his first year?
Well, I think he had more to do with it last year. I think this will be his first, like
by himself,
one, but he had a lot to do with it last year.
Yes,
a lot. Yeah. So
I agree.
So,
we have not started yet. We're gonna be starting in just a minute.
Yeah, we're getting there.
Casario was here in 2020.
That's who I thought too. Yeah, I was. Yeah. I wanted to say it, but I didn't want to, because I feel like I should know when he was gone. But yeah, but that's let's go in another position we've talked about. We'll make this one quick and maybe hit on one more if we have time. But defensive line, there's a couple guys that intrigue us, and I think New England needs to bulk up that defensive line, even with the addition of Barmore. They're older on the back end, so I don't think this is too much of a need pick. Well, it could be a need pick. I think this is more of a luxury pick too. This is something that New England fans and us would love to have if the talent's there. So Cole, what are your thoughts on who your my guy is, and how nervous you are for the defensive tackle position?
I think we all know my feelings on one, Jordan Davis, defensive tackle from Georgia. I mean, absolute stud. He's my guy for sure. I think if he gets put into this defense next to Christian Barmore, it's going to be scary as hell for whoever's on the opposing side. I think it, in my opinion, which I feel differently about this than a lot of guys, I think defensive tackle is more of a need than people realize. I think if you if you get that run stopping defensive tackle to put next to Barmore, especially if it's Jordan Davis, I think that really helps your defense in a way that most people wouldn't realize it helps. But this Patriots defense has struggled to stop the run. And when you can't stop the run, that really makes it hard to stop the pass as well, because the offense can do so much. So if the Patriots can stop the run and make a team one-dimensional, it really limits what they can do offensively, and it helps you out a lot on defense, especially with the corners that we have right now. Any way you can make a team one-dimensional, and any way you can help out this defensive backfield to the secondary is going to be great. I would love Jordan Davis at 21 if he's available. I don't think he's going to be. I think if we're going to get him, we're going to have to trade up a few picks, which I honestly wouldn't mind either. He's the only guy that I'd be willing, him and Olave, I'd be willing to trade up like 3-4 picks for. Outside of that, I don't think anything's realistic for the Patriots unless they're going to trade up for one of the two top corners if they fall, which I don't think they're going to. They're probably both going to be gone top 12. But I tried to make that quick. That was a little longer than I expected. But
no, I love the defensive line pick right here. I think that it needs to be addressed at some point. If Jordan Davis is there at 21, I agree. I think that it's hard to pass on a guy of his talent. For me, my guy is the cheap man's version of Jordan Davis, in my opinion, and that's Travis Jones out of UConn. I think that he only improved his stock testing, played at one of the worst FBS schools. Literally, UConn is so bad. I think they won their first game in like a couple years this year. But you're talking about a true nose tackle guy. Thoughts of Winfrey and Barmore are like a wet dream. Yeah. Noah Ellis from Idaho. I'm seeing that too. What I want at the defense tackle opposite of Barmore, this is why I shy away from Perion Winfrey, is we need a big body. We need a two-gapping, true A-gap nose tackle type of player. Barmore, yes, Barmore, sorry, is great. You know, they're both. Who are you going to double team? You're going to double team Jordan Davis, and then leave Barmore 1-on-1, or are you going to double team Barmore and let Jordan Davis just bull rush whoever the heck's on him?
And Judon's a part of that as well on the outside.
Yes, I think it creates mismatches on both sides. for either Jordan Davis or Travis Jones, guys like that are true two-gapping tackles that can still use their power. They play low with low pad level for how big they are. I think that could definitely help the defensive line and, the run game for New England. And maybe it takes some pressure off of the linebackers feeling like they need to come downhill right away because you got a big guy up front, kind of like what we saw with Vince Wilfork back in the day. So Travis Jones for me is my guy at the defensive tackle position. You call him the poor man's Jordan Davis because that's pretty much what he is. He does everything very good, not quite like Jordan Davis, and he's not as big, but he's a solid second-round guy.
Yeah, and nobody take that as a slight because he's a stud too. He's a really good football player. Patriots, I'd be super happy if they drafted him in the second round, depending on where that is. So I'd love that. I think Light Shadow says, I think it would be almost impossible to draft a lockdown corner in the draft. So maybe this year we should try to focus on building up the D line, pass rush, edge, nose tackle. It's tough in the later half of the first round to draft a stud lockdown number one corner, but there's not that many stud lockdown number one corners in the NFL in general. So at this point, adding a number two corner, adding a guy who has number one upside is going to help this secondary, and that's something that we need. So I still think cornerback, if there's a guy there, take a shot on him if you think he can be, if he has that potential. The Patriots are great with developing corners. So also guys later in the draft, if they take a shot on, JC Jackson undrafted, along with Malcolm Butler, Jonathan Jones, all these guys have been undrafted or late round picks for the Patriots and have turned out really, really well. So I agree, though. We do need to build up the defensive line. We need a run stuffing defensive tackle. We need another edge rusher who can set the edge and stop the run on the other side of Judon. We don't have that right now. Judon slowed down towards the end of the year, but that's because they didn't have to worry about anybody on the other side. They could run the ball, and all you had to worry about was Judon and Barmore, and you're good. And that's tough. So there are a lot of needs on this team. We do have quite a bit of needs, but hopefully after the draft, we're going to be feeling a lot better about some of those.
Yeah, and there's a lot of needs, and we'll try to address all of them with the mock draft that we're going into. We have 8 picks now? Is it 8 picks that we have with the trade with Houston?
Yes. And yes, we are. Yes, we are live. Yes, we are live.
I think a lot of people get this confused when we upload a video and it's like premiering. I think people think that we're live, but technically that's just like a video, and so we're not there. But yes, we are actually live right now, so we're answering questions for whatever you got. So let's jump right into this mock draft right here. Like we said, we're going to switch it up a little, and I think PFF is superior to the Draft Network, but the biggest complaint we had right here with PFF was when we wanted to trade up, we never had the option to look at who was still on the board. So you kind of just had to guess. So we're going to use this one. We're going to use PFF, or we're not going to use PFF today. We're going to use the Draft Network and see what it's like. And that now we can see the whole board, even though we're not on here. So what are we thinking here though, Cole? We kind of got on, talked about this a little bit. What's our thoughts at 21?
Yeah. So we kind of touched on this a little bit. Okay, so let me just touch on this real quick. Are we participating in your mock draft for this stream? So this one's not the like subscriber follower mock draft. That was last week. This week's going to be, we're certainly going to take your guys' input.
Yeah.
But this one's going to be mainly, we'll talk to you guys, but also at the end of the day, we're going to make the pick. This is the 7-round mock draft. This is our final one that we're going to be doing before Thursday. So, yeah, so we tested this out as well. The problem with TDN is a ton of talent is there. Olave is always there at 21. Olave was only there once or twice out of a few times for us at 21. But there are, one thing I did notice was some of the guys in the second and third, who's going to go second round, have fallen to third round in some instances. And it's very up and down. One guy might go 38 one time and then 56 the other time. And it's just kind of spread out quite a bit. So, that's one thing with this, but hey, we're going to see what happens. We're going to test it out. If we hate it, maybe we'll do another mock draft right before the actual draft itself. We'll figure something out. But Josh Potter, always a good night when Pat's Drive is streaming. Hey, we appreciate that. We appreciate you guys tuning in, enjoying the streams. It's awesome. So, all right, let's hop into this though. Yes. So original thoughts that we talked about. If Jordan Davis or Chris Olave is there at 21, it's going to be hard to pass up. Otherwise, if we don't have a lot of options on the board, or if there are a ton of options on the board, maybe we trade back, get more draft capital, and still try to take one of those corners, or depending on who else is on the board, take one of those guys early on. So we'll see how the board plays out. But that's kind of the original thoughts we got going into this.
Yeah, and Leonard said, let's try to stay realistic, but y'all are able to do it. Yeah, we're going to try to stay realistic. We're not going to, I mean, obviously it's going to be hard for us to take Chris Olave, but as much as me and Cole love Chris Olave, I know even if he's there, Bill's going to let us down. And until I see it with my two eyes and witness it and experience the joy, I'm not going to draft him in a serious setting. I might have done it a couple times on my Instagram just to, have him on there because I wanted him so bad, but until I physically see it, I'm not going to do it. So we're going to try to stay as realistic. We have our targets. Like we said, we talked about it. So let's start this. Crazy. Trayvon Walker's now the betting favorite to be the number 1 pick. So he goes number 1.
That changed so fast.
I know. And this is another thing. I still would be surprised if he actually goes at 21. So they give us the trade offers at first. So right now, Arizona wants us to move to 23. Detroit wants us to get move to 32, and we can gain an extra third and a fifth. So we'll keep those in the back of our heads, but let's look at the board right now. So Desmond Ridder, 2 quarterbacks off the board, 2 picks before us. Olave, Jordan Davis, those guys are off. Jameson Williams goes. I think both the corners that we would want are still on the board. Daxton Hill is there. Elam, Andrew Booth. There's a lot of guys to pick here. If you want to go with the other Georgia defensive tackle, you got Devontae Wyatt. So there's a lot of guys here that we talked about that could be drafted by New England.
Yeah. And right off the bat, Jordan Davis is gone, along with Chris Olave, which is probably realistic. So realistically, that's probably going to be the case. I'm immediately looking at trade back options as far as what we can acquire to still trade back and hopefully get one of those guys, Kyer Elam, Andrew Booth Jr. If Dax Hill falls, which he's been getting taken pretty early in the first round in a lot of mocks. So if he falls, that's another guy to keep in mind as well, because safety is a dire need as far as future goes, because this is probably McCourty's last year. We don't really have, unless Joshua Bledsoe is the next Devin McCourty, and we don't know it yet. We certainly need a safety. So that's a need as well. I think we should look at trade back options here and see what we can get value wise. Try to stay into that 26, 27 range. Maybe I'd say at the latest, I'd say 29 would be the furthest back I'd feel comfortable going. Just because I don't know, I don't have a high confidence level that both those guys are going to, or one of them is going to be there past 29. I think they're probably both going to get taken first round.
Yeah, and I don't know. Let's see. I'll pull up the Cardinals trade. We'll have to do this one on our own. But moving back only 2 picks, so they want to give 23. I don't know if we can get it done. It's about halfway to get a first and a third back. I liked Detroit's trade, but I agree it's a little too far to go back to 32 if you still want to grab a top corner, because they are offering a first, a third, and a 7th. Now that third is going to be pretty early because of where they finish. So that's going to be an early third with the 32nd overall pick and a 7th. And with all the, 3 6-round picks and 2 7ths, if that trade were to be made, we could trade back up into the 5th or the 4th or something and take a guy. So that trade did intrigue me, but I agree with you. Moving back to 32, you're risking most of the guys that you would want to take at 29, 28 being off the board.
Yeah. Can you trade with other teams as
yes,
well?
we can. Yeah. So let's say we wanted to do, let's see, I gotta go hide. Gotta redo this. So say we wanted to move, what do you think? 26 would be realistic?
Yeah, 26 to 29, somewhere in that range.
So we could trade with the Titans. We'd give them 1, and then maybe they can give us their 4th round pick. The problem is no teams aren't really likely unless they throw us a trade offer. That's what sucks about this. They don't even want to give us a 1st and a 4th.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense. That's odd.
They don't even want to give us a 1st and a 6th. So, I mean, do we want to move back 3 to the Cardinals? Or 2 to the Cardinals?
That's kind of odd. That seems like you can't force trades, right?
No.
That's odd. Okay. Yeah, I guess we'll have to, because we don't really have another option, right?
I mean, they're still saying that, and we don't even know if this one's going to be accepted, a 1st and a 3rd. So
that should be. I mean, well, if you're only trading back 2 spots, I don't know how much you realistically can get. I think we could get a late second round pick if we trade it back to that 26, 29 range. But if we can't do it on here, then we're gonna have to take what it gives us, I guess, and go with a first and a third. And then maybe we can move up from 85 to keep that 87. Or I think that's realistic. Maybe we package those two to move up early second. Look at a guy like Travis Jones or one of the linebackers we want, or if somebody else falls. But I think if we trade back a couple picks, go to 23, pick up an extra third, might as well.
Should we see if they don't accept this? What's the strategy?
Throw in a late pick, I guess, and a pick swap, maybe
one of the 6th or the 7th we just got,
or so like we could trade them 210 for 215 or something like that, and just it says likely on there, so it should get get accepted, right? I mean, they should accept it. I was gonna say they offered it to us. They should accept it, right?
Yeah. So that's gonna put us back. Now we're at 23. We're getting pretty much the same offer: a first, a fifth, and a sixth from Detroit, or a second, a fifth, and a future second from Cincinnati. But I think we agree we want to stay here and pick, right?
Yeah. At this point,
yeah.
With the options we have, we don't have a lot of people calling, so I think staying pat here and picking would be good.
I mean, we have everyone on the board we want. Karlaftis and Boye Mafe went. Devin Lloyd's on the board. Elam, Andrew Booth. You get your pick at 2 positions of need, and probably 3 of our top targets at those positions that we think is realistic. This is really just who we like the most.
Yeah, I mean, Booth and Elam are both the guys that are kind of the ones we're talking about here. Devin Lloyd is something that some people might like here at this point, which I'd be okay if they liked that. But I just think good depth later in the draft will be all right. I think taking a corner here would be good, Booth or Elam.
Well, we've went with Booth the last 2 times, so why switch it up, right? That seems to be the guy that we've wanted. It's a position that we need, so might as well go with him, right?
Yeah.
The one thing coming off surgery on a lower body surgery,
Yeah.
What is his thigh? He'll be ready by camp, should be. I mean, that would be concerning if he's not, but seems to be a guy that Patriots fans and New England have had his eye on. I didn't realize today that New England has not visited with Kier Elam yet, which doesn't mean he's not gonna get drafted or New England won't look at him. But
I think it was Nate Sold. I think it was him, Nate Solder, when they met with him like 1-2 days before the draft for the first time, and they took him in the first round. So it's like, it doesn't necessarily mean just because they didn't meet with you that you're not going to get taken, because they're still, I know it's not a lot of time, but there's still 2 days for them to sneak a meeting in there with you and fly it under the radar a little bit and still draft you and bring you in. But I think Andrew Booth would be the pick here. We've taken him a few times. I still like him a lot. 23, I wouldn't say it's too early for him. He does seem to be sliding a little bit. We saw, if you watched our most recent video, if you haven't, go check it out right before this, because we got spoilers right here. We had at 20, no, not in the first round. Booth didn't go in the first round on Peter Schrager's mock draft recently. So that's interesting. Maybe he falls out of the first, and maybe the Patriots can trade to 32 with the Lions and still get him. That'd be great. So, we try to touch on all the chat. I know we missed some, but we try to hit on all your guys' questions, comments. It's hard when we're trying to go through the draft and look at all these options too, without touching on everything and missing. We don't want to miss comments. We also want to keep the draft going and stuff. But we also want to touch on all you guys' comments. We appreciate you guys interacting with us as well. It makes this fun, being able to talk with you guys and bounce ideas off you guys. So, but yeah, Andrew Booth 23. I think that's the pick.
Yep. So move down 2 spots, gain an additional third, which I think right now our thought process with gaining that third is you can package 85 and 87 or one of them and a late pick and get up into the 60s, maybe the 70s, and take another guy and still hold 87. So you get picks right there, and this is just another way of trading up and getting, because I see the chat. There's a lot of people saying that it's going to be hard to trade back this year. I agree. I think that the value of this draft class is in picks 30 to picks 70. There are so many guys that are going to go in that range that I think are going to be players. And there's always guys that make like headlines being a second, third round pick. But you look at this year's draft class at multiple positions, there's a lot of guys around the board. So I like trading back, getting an extra pick there, using it to trade up or do something. So Andrew Booth at 23 right here after we trade down, that's a steal.
Also, people are kind of talking about here zone versus man coverage. Elam is a great press man corner. Booth had a lot of snaps in zone coverage, so if that's what they want to do, they can rely on him to play good zone coverage as well as good man. I think he's probably more well-rounded in both the man and zone schemes. But if you're just looking for press man, Elam could be their pick. If they're looking for a guy who could be more zone and man, and you can kind of do more things with him, more versatile, maybe Andrew Booth is the pick. He's got great feet, good footwork. I think either one of these would be a really, really great pick. So Andrew Booth, home run pick there for me. Another thing, with adding that extra third that's close to our other third, if we wanted, they could do what they did last year and trade up to 37 for Barmore. Like that type of trade, if you like a guy like Travis Jones or somebody else who falls. So that's always an option. Maybe we pause in the mid 30s just to see who's still on the board if we have any interest in trading up, because I think getting a guy like Travis Jones in that late 30 range would be really, really awesome. So maybe we think about that as well, and then use that third round pick on one of the linebackers or something like that.
For sure. So we'll keep going. So after us, Daxton Hill goes, Treylon Burks, Jahan Dotson, 3 receivers go. And I still look at the receiver board. It's pretty thin right now. That would make, how many receivers went off the board in the first round? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 receivers went off in the first round in this mock draft. So that's a lot. That's crazy. So we'll keep on going.
I think
I'm gonna pause it at 35, 37, maybe.
Go let's pause it at 40. Let's pause it at 40.
Okay. We'll let it roll. See who comes off the board. Christian Watson, my guy there. Devin Lloyd comes off in the second. Then we'll pause it right there. So here's the second round that comes off. Devin Lloyd, Pickett, Winfrey, Brisker, Kenyon Green, Kyler Gordon, Linderbaum, and Sam Howell. So looking here, I know a lot of guys are going to be intrigued by Nakobe Dean here in the second round. I don't know. This is good value for him. I'm not saying it's not. I mean, I love Nakobe Dean and how he plays. He's smaller than Kyle Duggar. I don't know if Bill wants to have that as a linebacker, and I don't know if that's much of a scheme fit for the Patriots. So it's intriguing there. But like we mentioned, we still have pick 55. You could get Troy Anderson there, or you could move up into the 60s if Troy Anderson's falling with one of the thirds and still get him or one of those other guys there.
My Boston headline, we picked Andrew Booth. We traded back to 23, picked him, picked up an extra third. Booth. Thank you guys. My pick here would be maybe let it run like 3 more picks. And if Travis Jones is not off the board still, I think we trade up, depending on the value. We trade up, take Travis Jones, and then either stick at 85 or maybe move up just a little bit to take one of those linebackers that we were talking about. Then we would have Andrew Booth, Travis Jones, and one of those linebackers that we like a lot. Still have room to take a wide receiver and a guard in the later rounds. I like that a lot. That'd be my pick, I guess I would say. But what do you think?
Let's do it. Let's roll to, what do we think? 45?
43.
43? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, Indianapolis is offering us a trade. A second, a fourth, and a seventh. So we don't even have to give up one of our thirds to move up to 42 and take him right here.
Let me see 1 sec.
This is the trade offer right here.
Let me make sure the actual trade calculator thing thinks this is a reasonable trade.
Oh, this is a good trade.
So 42. Okay, 42 is worth 480, and we'd be giving up, what is that pick? Sorry, I can't see
50. We'd be giving up 54, 127.
Hang on, 127. Okay,
and 245.
Okay, so this has us winning that trade by a little bit, but I think it's probably reasonable enough. Maybe we could resend it as a. Would you think that would screw it up if we resent it and added like a 6th instead of that 7th? Or
so counter offer. So what do we?
I feel like
so take the 7th.
Yeah, take the 7th off.
Okay,
and maybe add pick 200. I feel like that's more realistic. I mean, we could just do for the 7th if you want, or 210. That's whatever. It's very likely on here, but as far as the value on the chart, this would be a win for us for sure. So we can go with this. This is good enough. That's a compromise between the trade value chart and the this one. So that's fine with me.
I was just making sure that he was still on the board and we didn't trade up for nothing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, he's at 45. Yeah.
Okay, there we go. So we will do this trade right here. So we're giving up our 2nd round pick, a 4th and a 6th to move up 12 spots. We're planning on taking Travis Jones. Now the thing is here is we still have 2/3 and they're pretty dang close to each other, 85 and 87. So we could still move back up into the 60s, 70s and take someone we want.
I was going to say, I think we'll wait for this to go through.
What if they declined it?
Perfect. All right. Let's take him. Travis Jones, UConn.
Okay, so this is 2 years in a row the Patriots trade up, take a defensive tackle here, and this guy plays opposite of Christian Barmore. Totally different. I think that this is great right here. So we'll do it.
Let's touch on this real quick. Yeah, just pause it real quick.
Go ahead. Yep.
Why not Nakobe Dean? I'll let you answer this one.
Yeah, for me, it simply comes down to with 85 and 87, I'd rather trade up and take Channing Tindall. Well, let's go look at the linebacker board while I'm right here. Assuming Muma, Chenal, Tindall, or Anderson, I would rather take those 4 guys in the 60s or 70s than I'd take Dean.
Here.
This is a massive value. Don't get me wrong. It's great value for Nakobe Dean there, but it doesn't matter what his value is when he's as small as he is. He's smaller than Kyle Duggar. Exactly. I don't think that no matter where he is, that New England's going to value him like that just because of how small he is. It's not what the Patriots have done at the linebacker position. So that's why I favor taking a guy like Troy Anderson, Chad Muma, Leo Chenal that are bigger but can still play and cover receivers in the 3rd round. That's my explanation.
He's like you said, you hit it nail on the head. He's smaller than Kyle Duggar at linebacker. Obviously, Nakobe Dean is extremely talented. He's going to be good somewhere. But in this system, if you can take a guy like Travis Jones at 42, the linebacker class, like Lennart says here, is so deep. And you can take another guy who's maybe going to fit better with the Patriots at 85 or trade up to 70 something to do that there. There's a lot of good options. And I think if you get a guy like Travis Jones, he's going to make a big impact. You can get 2 big impact players instead of 1 on this defense, and they might be better scheme fits. So I'm a huge fan. Wonder if Desmond Ridder would be available.
I don't think he's available.
No, he went at 20, I think, in this mock, I believe.
He went to the Steelers. Sorry, Gabe.
Unfortunate. Sorry about that.
So cool.
But yeah, same here. I prefer good D tackle to pair with Barmore, get the linebacker in the 60s who still perform great. Exactly. I agree with you there.
Yep. So what we're thinking, we're looking at linebacker position now for our next pick. Now, if we're going to want to take a guy like Troy Anderson, Chad Muma, Leo Chenal, I think you're going to have to trade up from 85 or 87 to get him. So I think that we need to go to pick 60, 65 and see what the linebacker board looks like and see if we need to make a trade.
I think, yeah, let's go 65. Let's go to 65.
Let's let it roll to 65.
Let's go 64. 64.
64.
Yeah, big difference there. 64. Mechie's gone.
So the only linebacker I saw come off the board was Quay Walker and Nakobe Dean.
Okay.
You have Christian Harris, Muma, Chenal, Anderson, Tindall, Asmoa. I think that you're going to be able to find a guy here. You might be able to wait till 85, which I don't know if that's likely, but you might be able to take the 85 and still get one of those 5. And let's say start flying off the board. Should we go to 70?
Can you do player trades in this?
I don't think you can.
Okay. So that's a no. And no for player trades on this one.
Let me make sure. Yeah, I don't think you can.
No, it's fine. That's all right.
So,
I think, let's see. I think, yeah, I agree. I think trading up here would be too much. I
Yep.
think we'd probably have to give up too much value. I think we could probably get away with going to, let's go to 70, see who's there. Maybe we can get to even 75, 80 and not have to trade too much. And then maybe we can trade back a little bit to reacquire some of those picks.
Yep.
Maybe go to like mid 70s.
Okay.
Or 70, mid 70s, somewhere in that range.
The Giants offered us 67. Do you still think that's too? Should we look at the board?
Yeah, let's take a peek.
Counter offer. So the linebacker board, Christian Harris comes off. Muma, Chenal, Anderson, Tyndall. 4 of the guys that we still.
I personally, I think there's still 4 guys there that we're going to be perfectly okay with taking. I think we let it run a little longer.
Okay, let's do it.
That's just me. You agree?
Yep, we are going to decline. We're not going to move up to 68. We're not going to 70
for a 5th.
A 3rd and a 5th. That we'd get to keep 87, and maybe we could trade back with that.
Take a peek at the board if you can, please.
Linebacker. So Muma went. So we're down to Chenal, Anderson, Tyndall.
You think we'll get any other trade? If we get one more trade offer, that'd be perfect.
Let's do it. Let's let it run. I'm fine taking any of those 3. So I think you can let it run for a little longer.
Okay. Maybe. Okay. So,
they offered us a 3rd and a 6th now instead of a 5th. Right? Weren't they offering us a 5th?
I can't. I'm not sure.
Should we still decline it? Just keep going.
So decline it and go, like, if you can, pause it like every pick or 2 just so we can see. Okay.
71, a 3rd and a 5th.
Okay, so they want more than the Jaguars just did.
So decline.
No. Yeah, decline it. All right.
3rd and a 6th for 73. Let's make sure.
Can you look at the board? Chenal just went off, so maybe we should.
So Anderson or Tyndall are the 2 guys. I mean, I think I wouldn't risk going any farther. I think you get Troy Anderson.
I agree.
So let's make that trade.
Yep, I'm down.
So we're going to trade a 3rd and a 6th for 73. Now we still have 87. So whether we want to stay there and take a receiver or trade back and get a 4th and an extra 6 back, we can do it. But we're going to send this offer. Colts accept, and Troy Anderson's the pick here. My favorite linebacker that I think would fit great in New England. So we're going to take him, and then we're going to pause it right here. What? Take Anderson here. Oh, we're taking him.
Gabe, did you ever see Gabe's comment?
What do you say? This for real reminded me of the way bitches be blowing up my line. Oh yeah, with all the trade offers, you got 2 phones, like the song.
Gabe.
So
Gabe.
But this is interesting. I think you let it run to 87, right? We're not going to make another trade up. You let it run to 87. You see if there's a swing offensive lineman that can play both guard and tackle, or if there's a receiver that you think's just tremendous value, you can take him there, or it's a trade down. I think that you're looking at either of those positions.
I agree. A lot of people here are talking about wide receiver. George Pickens. Mechie is gone. I think Pickens is gone as well.
Pickens gone. Sky
Moore. So
we can look at the receiver board. Here's the wide receiver board right now.
Yeah.
Perfect. Khalil Shakir, Wan'Dale Robinson, Alec Pierce, Jalen Tolbert, Phillips, Velus Jones, Danny Gray, Tyler. The only guy that would intrigue me here at 87 would probably be Khalil Shakir.
Is Romeo Doubs gone?
Yes.
Really?
No, he's not. 163.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, they have him a little bit lower than most people. So he might be a guy that you could trade back for and still get.
Okay. Okay. I think run it to 87 and then see who's on the board. And maybe we trade back just a little bit. All right. Get out of here.
We just traded up. Stop giving us your offers.
Tyndall goes 79. Cole Strange is gone. That would have been a good pick.
So Marcus Jones, Cole Strange is an interior guy. We talked about Parham's also a guy.
Yep.
Bonito falling all the way down here is actually crazy. That's another position we talked about with edge. But receiver, you still got Khalil Shakir here. Romeo Doubs is a late round guy. What do you think? You look at offensive linemen too. The one guy I would say that has always intrigued me is Zach Tom. He might be someone he's a tackle out of Wake Forest. He has experience at both offense or tackle and guard. Abraham Lucas is a good offensive tackle too. So there's options here to protect Mac Jones, in my opinion.
Can you go to the offensive line board?
My bad. Do you want interior or offensive tackle?
Tom's listed as a tackle, right? But
yes.
He plays guard, so that's kind of.
So here's the tackle board.
I think it'd be great right here to trade back a little bit, reacquire some of those picks, and then we can go with maybe a guy like Zach Tom, maybe Romeo Dubs. Maybe we look at another interior offensive lineman if we don't like going Tom at that point, whatever. But I think we have options that if we trade back a little bit, we can get a wide receiver, interior offensive lineman. I think those would both be great picks. Depending on cornerback, if we want to double dip, if we got a good amount of picks and somebody's available that we like, that's an option as well. But I think trading back here would be the ideal move as far as getting back some of that draft capital that we that we gave away trading up.
I like that too. I will say, if you go to the interior offensive line board, I'm very intrigued by Ed Ingram. I just want to read you guys some numbers here. Ed Ingram, he might play. You're talking scheme fits. This is a guy that ran power and counter. New England ran the most gap scheme runs last year with Damian Harris, with pulling Shaq Mason. Now you lose Shaq Mason. You're like, oh, well, maybe that's out the window. Maybe they're going to a zone scheme team. Ed Ingram played 806 snaps last year at left guard, 724 in 2020, and 411 in 2019. Never played another position. He played the 80th most power and counter snaps in college football, which is head and heels over any other top offensive lineman prospect in the draft class right now. But listen to these numbers. Compared to Shaq Mason, he comes in at 6'3", 307 pounds. Okay, well, Shaq Mason going into the combine, he was 6'3", 310 pounds. A little bit, pretty similar right there. He has a 33 and 3/4 inch arm span. Shaq Mason had, where's his wingspan? 33 and a half inch wingspan. Okay, now you go look at what his 40-yard was. He ran a 5:02 40. Shaq Mason ran a 5:27, so he's faster than Shaq Mason. My point is here. This is a guy that intrigues me at the interior offensive line position is Ed Ingram. I think he's a scheme fit. He could probably come in and with his experience at LSU playing so much left guard, he might be the day one starter there, depending on who can beat him out or who else they bring in to play that guard position.
Yeah. So that's an option as well.
That's an option when we trade down. But let's see who gave us the offers. I think it highlights them. Do you remember who? I think the Cowboys threw us an offer before I exited.
I don't know. My memory is not very good.
So what? Can we get a 4th and a 5th? We can get a 4th and a 5th from Dallas. Dallas is who threw us a
129. So wait, what's our?
So we're giving up 87.
What's our next pick after 87 though?
Well, it would be 129. Right now it's 87 and 158. That's a 70 pick gap.
Okay. Are there any other offers? Do we have any other offers?
Let's see. Let's go back to the trade finder. Oh, I always do this wrong. Who else? Green Bay. No, we don't want to move up with them. I forget who offered us. I should have stopped and looked and kept them in the back of my mind. Let's just see what Jacksonville, if they would give us a 4th and a 5th, a 4th and a 6th. So we could get 106 and 188 for pick 83.
We could get 180 too, right?
It doesn't. We could probably get it. Yeah, I was worried that this might not work, but we could probably get 180.
All right. Let's yeah, I think that's good. I think that'll be right in the range of a guy like Zach Tom.
For 106.
Yeah.
And gaining that extra 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
Should we see if we can get closer to 100 with a different team?
Sure. Yeah. If we can get, yeah.
Who would it be? Ravens. What do the Ravens have? 100 and that's not likely. Yeah. So Ravens don't want to. Who else would have? Colts. Did we already? We traded with the Colts. Let's try to. Houston 107. That's only one pick more than, or that's one pick less than what we were going to do.
Yeah.
Oakland, I guess it's Vegas now, my bad. 126. Chargers, 123. Go look at some of the AFC teams. Washington, 113. Giants, 112. Buccaneers, 91. You could get 91 in a seventh, but that's only moving down 4. And you're not really closing the gap between 158.
Yeah, that's probably not enough trading back, huh?
No, probably not. Let's see, Seahawks,
Like mid 90s
109,
maybe.
that's different. 49ers, 93, 105. You could get a third and a fifth to move back. What is that, 19?
That's our best offer so far, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Should we send it?
We can do that.
Okay, let's do it. We're going to send this offer. Okay, so now we're moving back a couple picks. And of course, Dallas just throws us a trade offer now.
What did they offer?
They offered us a third and a sixth or they wanted a third and a sixth to move up to 88, which we pretty much just traded out of. So Oakland's offering a fourth and 2 sevenths. We'll decline that for now and say, but we had Zach Tom at the top of our board. He's still here. He's a swing offensive lineman. He could play guard. He could play tackle. This is a good value in my opinion here.
I think he's the move. Yep. I'm good with it.
Looking at Braxton Jones, someone mentioned God Key in the chat. Just go everywhere. Look at interior offensive linemen, Chris Paul, Cade Mays, Donovan West. I think that, like you mentioned, Bill loves versatility. He loves guys that can come in and play both positions, and that's what Zach Tom can do. So there's no need to, have any more discussion. I think that this is the guy we wanted to trade down for, and we get him.
Agreed.
So
you said it. You said it all right there.
Okay, we're gonna take Zach Tom. Let's pause it again. We're not up till 158. Are we good letting it run? Do we want to stop it and see if we want to trade up? A lot of people still want us taking a wide receiver. And I think if you look at the wide receiver board, Romeo Doubs is still there. It would maybe be risky waiting until the 5th to get him.
Maybe we go 20 picks, see what's there.
Okay.
Maybe go to 125.
Go to 125.
Yeah.
Alec Pierce. Couple of receivers just go. Let's see. Godkey goes. Someone said that. Najee Sanders. Emerson goes. That's later than I thought Emerson would go.
We're at 135 now.
I went way past it, but he's still there. I mean, maybe at this rate with 4 receivers above him, you could still wait until 150. Should we let it roll a little bit more?
I think we might be able to get him at 150. Try go one. Yeah. Go early 140, 143. Go there, I guess.
Still there. Only 1 receiver went while we were going.
I'll let you decide this one. You want to run it or you
I'm
want to
let it run just a little longer.
Okay.
We've already made 3. This is my problem. We've traded up 3 times. I don't know if Bill trades up.
Yeah, I agree.
4. That's my only thing right here. We do get a trade offer to move up to 144 for a 5th and a future 6th.
Now let's not mess with future picks.
I agree. Decline. I'm gonna let it run. I got nuts. Decline. He's there.
Ooh, let's take him. 158.
I got some big nuts right there.
We got a wide receiver. There we go.
No,
Everybody
Josh, we're taking a wide receiver right here. Romeo Doubs, the guy that's met with New England multiple times. He doesn't want him. He doesn't think that he's high on him. But I like Doubs. I think that at where he was playing at, he played high, good group of 5 football. He's not a power 5 guy, but he played good. He's got strong hands, big body, 6'2". The one thing we didn't see him run a 40. We don't know his true speed, but I think you look at New England's wide receiver room right now, and you maybe want another bigger guy that can go up and make contested catches. And Romeo Doubs was really good like this. He has good long speed. That's what I like about him is he's not very quick at the line of scrimmage, but he gets going. He's a vertical threat for sure. So we're going to take Romeo Doubs here.
Works for me.
And then are we just going to let it run to 172?
Yeah, that's fine. Jack Jones goes from Arizona State right there. Guy who the Patriots have met with a couple times.
Okay, no trade offers. So interesting.
How
So
many picks
what
we got left,
positions
do you know?
are we looking at? Edge.
Edge, safety, running back, offensive tackle.
You could double dip at a cornerback position if you wanted to. Chase Lucas is here. You got running backs. Hassan Haskins is a good pass catching threat. Safety, Smoke Monday out of Auburn. Leon O'Neal's a guy that we've taken before too. You might be able to wait on him. The other one, Percy Butler, is a guy that people have talked about to New England. So, well, what do you think the biggest position of need is right here?
That's a tough one. I think edge is a need that people haven't looked at enough. Safety.
I'm just gonna say I love Barno right here. He ran a 4.33 at the combine.
Wow.
It was actually insane. At 6'5", he was blazing down the field when he was running. It was crazy. And in the 5th round, well, what are we in the 6th now? No, this is the 5th still, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, why not take a flyer on a guy like this that has 4.36 speed and he had an 11-foot broad jump? Why not take a flyer on an athletic freak like this that could come in and add depth to that room?
Yep. So that's certainly a good option. I think him, safety, and offensive tackle are probably the next two right there, along with edge. If there's anybody you like from there. God, the Red Sox may never win another game in the history of the franchise. Oh my God.
Cole's just stressing about the Red Sox. Hey, it's okay though, because Boston got lucky and played a 7 seed in the NBA playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
The Nets, a 7 seed. All right.
7 seed, dude. They're a 7 seed.
7 seed, yeah. KD, Kyrie. I can't say Ben Simmons because he just will never play basketball again.
Bruce Brown, come on, man.
He's not too bad.
I know. He was their leading scorer a couple nights ago.
No, jeez. If the Red Sox were just up like 5-1, let up a couple runs, and with 2 outs in the 9th, they just let up a 2-run home run to tie the game 5-5. So,
well, there you go. There's your Red Sox fix for the day, if you guys were wondering.
Yeah, if anybody else wants to cry with me, we can all cry together watching the Red Sox in pain for the entire rest of the year. Oh my God.
So, looking at the offensive tackle board, there's a couple guys I like on here. I like the 3, 4, and 5 right here. Kellen Deesh out of ASU, Max Mitchell, and Obina Ease. I don't even know how to say that. I like both those guys, but I think that they're going to be there with our later picks because we still have a 6th and a 7th, right?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask.
I can do this. We still have 172, 200, and 245. So we have this pick, which is a 5th, and we have a 6th and a 7th.
Okay.
So we still have 3 selections.
Yeah. Yep.
So we go with pass rusher.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. We're going to take Barno, the 4.36 guy out of Virginia Tech. At this point, probably not making too many trades in the draft. Just going to let it run.
Just going to stand pat.
Yeah. We're already making.
Mountain goes.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people.
McCollum at 190. That's actually crazy.
That's not going to happen. If I would have known he was still on the board, we could have taken him. But that's
true.
Not realistic.
We could look at cornerbacks to double ditch. Josh Job's still here. Alabama guy that a lot of people are high on. We mentioned safety. Still Leon O'Neal or Percy Butler are here. Or offensive tackle. The 2 of the guys that I mentioned are still on there. So, what's the biggest? Or we could look at the punter. Is he on here?
I don't know.
Oh, he's not on here.
Wow. No punter.
Maybe he got drafted. Wait, did he get drafted? Oh, he's not on here. Wow, the Draft Network discriminating punters, man.
We're never using this again. We're going back to PFF after this. I think Josh Jobe is a great pick, but we also took a corner round 1. I think they're going to have to address offensive tackle, and I think if this is the Patriots, they're going to take an offensive tackle before the draft is done for sure. And maybe they add a corner with some potential later, like undrafted. So I think if we're looking at what the Patriots will do, I think offensive tackle is the move here. I think Jobe is talented too, though, and he's from Bama, and we haven't taken a Bama guy yet this draft, so that's also an option.
Yeah, I like taking a corner here. I saw someone say Max Mitchell. I like him. He's a right guard more than a left guard. Maybe possibly learning behind Trent Brown, but 6'6", 307 pounds, ran a 4.65 or a 5.32, 40, which isn't very good, but his 20-yard shuttle, his quickness, lateral quickness was very good. 4.65 20-yard shuttle for his size. So I like both those picks there. We did just take an offensive lineman in Zach Tom that's projects to be a guard, but he has experience at tackle and center both, really. So you have kind of that swing guy. So maybe, like you mentioned, you take Josh Jobe here, you hold off, take another defensive or offensive lineman at 245.
Okay. Works for me.
We know Bill's connection with Alabama, so we'll take him. Is that our first Alabama guy taken?
Yeah, it is.
That's a shame. Now we got to take Slade Bolden. Undrafted guy, Slade Bolden.
Breaking news: Broncos running back Melvin Gordon re-signing with Denver. 1 year, $5 million.
Interesting.
Running back. I think they'll probably running back, corner, offensive tackle, guard, maybe punter, maybe even kicker are my undrafted free agent predictions right there. They're going to hit on all those positions at some point.
Yeah, and if you look at the running back position right here, and this isn't even in the draft, there's guys that New England can take and, fill the role of a pass catching running back or someone that could come in. So I agree with you. I think that maybe it's something that they could address because they have done it in the past, but it's not in the back of my mind. So here we talked about offensive tackle. Here you got Tyler Vrabel, who New England visited. Matt Vrabel's son. Do you bring him home and get him there? Here, get him in Foxborough like his dad. What do you get? Should we leave? Should we see what the chat wants in this one?
Yeah, sure. No need for running back and punter. Wait, what? No need for running back or punter. Punter, if we get Matt Araiza and trade Jake Bailey, that saves us like $4 million in cap space, and we Patriots don't give punters a second contract. They have not given one punter. No punter has played under a second contract with the Patriots in the Bill Belichick era. So, punter obviously not here. They don't have him on here, but punter is an option, and along with running back. Damian Harris is on the last year of his deal, and James White has 2 more years. We need a pass catching back maybe, or a just regular style running back if we don't want to re-sign Damian Harris next year. So options, but I think there's bigger needs right now. I think safety, planning for the future, it needs to be heavy consideration here. So I would go safety or offensive tackle.
Yeah. Cody is saying Kennedy Brooks is a running back. We kind of eliminated the running back. He said Quentin Lake, a safety.
UCLA. He's
UCLA right down here. Mike Vrabel would like if we drafted his son, so I would do that just for that reason.
maybe we draft Mike. We take Vrabel's son and then we trade him straight out for AJ Brown.
Oh, I think that he'd do that, wouldn't he?
If he's not, he's just a bad dad. So
yeah, that would. Yeah, that's true.
No, but I think safety, offensive tackle is the only 2 things we should be looking at here.
Well, what would you go? Is Bell there at safety? Yeah, Leonard, he's there. Marquise Bell out of Florida A&M. What position would you go?
I guess I'd go safety, and I say that because in my eyes, if they didn't believe in Isaiah Wynn, they would have traded him. So for some reason, maybe they believe in Isaiah Wynn as being a guy who's going to be here more than just this next season.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're crazy. I don't think that's what they should do. But I guess I'd go safety just because of that. But offensive tackle, it's really a toss up here. You could go either one, and I'd be happy.
Yeah, I will say I think I like the offensive tackle picks a little bit more than I like the safeties.
That's fine.
But I'm fine with either way. So I'm seeing more. Safeties in the chat. So should we go safety, D-Max replacement, whoever it is?
If you like the offensive tackles better, let's go offensive tackle.
Let's do it. Okay. I don't know. I get it both. I think the problem is there's safeties here that are going to go undrafted. You can probably get one at Quentin Lake. Maybe Marquise Bell goes undrafted. Someone mentioned the Georgia Tech corner Tyreek Carpenter. Like, I think some of these guys might go undrafted that New England could still pick up. And like you mentioned, no one knows about Josh Bledsoe. Maybe Jabril Peppers comes back after this year once McCourty retires. You really don't know at that safety position. I think there's a lot of bodies back there. I'd like to get more bodies at the front, at the offensive line. So
yeah,
we'll go offensive tackle here. Do you have a preference? Should we go with Vrabel's son? Someone said no on Vrabel's son. I think it was Cody.
I feel that seems like a reach here. No, you think he's
probably
he's getting drafted?
Probably. Yeah. I don't know. In the 7th round, is there really a reach, right? There's not too many expectations.
I guess
on
you
him.
could say that. Yeah, I guess you could say that.
Someone did mention Ryan Van Damme out of UConn. He's a developmental guy, which I think you're looking at coming in. You're like, oh, yeah, we have time to develop him. We pretty much, assuming no injuries happen, we have someone that is going to be at both tackle positions. So maybe you take a developmental guy like this that has the size at 6'7", 280. The other guy that has size is out of Utah. I don't even know how to say his name, but 6'7", 348. He had the longest wingspan. I think it was like 88 inches. It was crazy. So
upside's not always bad. Not bad for a 7th round pick. That means he's got potential. You know what I mean? But
yeah.
Also, if there's a guy who you like, I'll leave this one up to you. For the
well, let's go with Van Damme. I've heard things about him where his size, he's a little raw. He's a developmental guy. I think that's what you take in the 7th round, where, you're not risking too much if this guy doesn't pan out, but it's someone that if he hits or if he turns into a good starter, you're drafting off of potential here. So we're going to go with Ryan Van Damme out of UConn, and that's going to wrap up our draft. So we'll let it roll, and then we'll show you. I guess we can show you this. This is our picks. User picks, okay? So this is our draft right here, our 7-round mock draft. We trade down from 23. We get we get pick 87. We trade down from 21 to 23, so 2 picks. We get pick 87. We still take Andrew Booth. Then we trade up to 42 with pick 85, are able to draft Travis Jones, and we're still able to trade back up into the early 3rd and get Troy Anderson. So boom, you got Andrew Booth, Travis Jones, Troy Anderson. Then you kind of address some of the offensive needs with Zach Tom, a versatile offensive lineman, Romeo Doubs, who's had connections with New England. You get a big, long, lengthy, speedy pass rusher, and then double dip at corner and get another offensive tackle. So I feel pretty good with this draft.
I like it a lot. I think immediately Andrew Booth, Travis Jones, Troy Anderson, and Zach Tom at the minimum are going to be contributors day one. I mean, Zach Tom should start for them at guard unless they feel more confident in somebody else. I think this is a good draft, and we got some guys who have some potential as well. Barno, Job, Denmark, and Romeo Doubs is interesting as well. So I like it. I like the draft a lot. I want to touch on a couple comments here. People are talking about Duggar as the free safety. Yes, he did play free safety in college. But also he's been really good as a strong safety. I mean, Belichick has clearly liked him here. He's an option though. Maybe that's why they haven't really addressed the safety role, the free safety role a ton, is because they plan on moving Duggar back there, and then maybe it's going to be Adrian Phillips and Jabril Peppers. Maybe they extend him, and those two are the more strong safety types. Maybe that's what it is. But as we are right now, as we stand right now, they need to address free safety unless they plan on making that move for Duggar, and he's been great at strong safety. So we don't know that for sure that he's gonna be moving back to free safety. So you gotta plan for the future.
And the other people that we've heard that could play free safety if they wanted to is if Jabril Peppers stays. We've heard of Jalen Mills having versatility that maybe he could go back there. There's guys that I think have the ability to go back there, and I kind of agree with what I think Cody said it. They're playing safeties at linebacker this year, and who did I hear say it today? It was on Patriots press pass. It was, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He's super big and bulky and ripped. He looks like he's going to rip out of his shirt. Teddy Johnson. Is that who it is? Is there a Teddy Johnson on there?
I don't know.
Anyways, there was a guy on there talking, and
yes. Ted Johnson. Yeah.
Ted Johnson. Yes, okay, yes. There you go. And he said, he goes, you can get away with playing Phillips, Duggar, McCourty, any of those guys 10 to 15 snaps at free safety a game. So I think that that's something that New England looks to experiment. And like Cody mentioned, where they Jabril Peppers said he came here because they're going to play safeties on the field. That's a way to combat it. maybe they're disguising their looks and they're putting different guys in the post every time, or they're putting too high and they're rolling down to someone in the post, and you can't really tell which one of these guys is going to be in the post. So it helps disguise your coverage. So I think that's something that you could look at and say, there's so many versatile safeties and they're so good at doing multiple things. Maybe they're not great at one thing, but they're good at a lot, that Bill plays into that strength and says, okay, well, we're going to put you in the post for these 10 plays. And then, we're going to rotate up and put McCourty in the post for the next 20 or whatever. And however he disguises it, I think that there's versatility along that secondary for Bill to do that.
Yeah, and I think the more versatility you can add, and the more you can confuse defenses, because multiple people can do different things and play different positions. I think that's great. Obviously, it's great to have a guy who is going to be there and play well consistently, but also if you got a few different guys who can mix things up, one play is free safety, the next play is strong safety, next play is playing corner, he's playing against a tight end, blitz in. If people are doing different things, it's confusing for the offense. So that's always good. Still think they're probably going to address it at some point, because McCourty's going to this is probably his last year. Hopefully it's not. I hope McCourty plays forever, but it's going to be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah. And I like this draft. Like you mentioned, I think that there's still positions. I think that they could take a running back. It's not a huge need, but it's something that we always see Bill want to reach down and take in the later rounds. And with Damian Harris being not extended through next year, safety, like you mentioned, there's multiple positions that we still didn't address that I could see New England addressing. And that's not a bad thing. That's just, how the board fell and how we feel the player's value was, with what draft pick we were at.
Yep. I agree.
So, will y'all release a full first round mock? I have one coming out on my Instagram. We were going to do it last week, but, we didn't go live last week. We just did clips. And so we won't have a joint one. I don't know if you're planning on doing a full one before the draft.
I might do one on draft day. I haven't decided yet. We'll see. We'll see where that ends up. This year is odd. It's one of the most, usually there's a consensus where people generally will go. This year it's all over the place. You could put out a mock draft and it could be so backwards wrong this year that it's there's so many different ways this could go this year, which makes it tough to predict an accurate first round mock draft. Trayvon Walker is now the favorite. He a week ago, if you told anybody he was going number one, they would have told you were crazy. But now he's the favorite. Aiden Hutchinson was the number one favorite. Evan Neal was the favorite not too long ago beforehand. So it's bounced all over the place. It's going to be a fun draft. On draft night, I think it's going to be a lot of fun if you guys come hang out with us here, reacting to some of these picks that come through. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to watch it tomorrow, or Thursday. We're on Thursday. Hopefully you guys are tuning in and hanging out with us, asking us questions as we kind of just chill and watch the draft and have it on the live stream. So hopefully you guys are planning on that. Make sure you guys subscribe this video, stay up to date with us, and let everyone know about the live show that you guys want to come in, enjoy, hang out with us. But Cole, you got anything else?
No, that should do it. Thank you guys for hanging out tonight. This was fun. Last mock draft of the year for us. Last 7-round mock draft for the Patriots. Come hang out Thursday night during the draft. We're going to be going live, reacting live to the Patriots picks, to all the other picks. And then maybe day 2, we'll definitely make some videos, but maybe we'll go live as well. We'll see how it ends up. But make sure you guys tune in for that. That's going to be fun. Come hang out, come react to the draft with us. And that's all I got. So Thursday night, draft night. Can't believe it. A couple more days. So until then, we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks for listening to this edition of the Patriots Drive podcast. Follow us on social media to stay up to date with all things New England Patriots. Make sure you tune in to the next episode and check out patriotsdrive.com for more great content.
7 year on to Cincinnati.